Krishnamurti. But how can we be free to look and learn when our minds, from the moment we are born to the moment we die, are shaped by a particular culture in the narrow pattern of me? For centuries, we have been conditioned by nationality, caste, class, tradition, religion, convention, propaganda, economic pressure, the food we eat, our family, our friends, our experiences, every influence you can think of, and therefore our responses to every problem are conditioned. Are you aware that you are conditioned? That is the first thing to ask yourself. Not how to be free of your conditioning. You may never be free of it, and if you say, I must be free of it, you may fall into another trap of another form of conditioning. So, are you aware that you are conditioned? Do you know that even when you look at a tree and say, that is an oak tree, that the naming of the tree, which is botanical knowledge, has so conditioned your mind that the word comes between you and actually seeing the tree? To come in contact with the tree, you have to put your hand on it, and the word will not help you touch it. You will be able to see for yourself how you are conditioned only when there is a conflict in the continuity of pleasure or the avoidance of pain. If everything is perfectly happy around you, your wife loves you, you love her, you have a nice house, nice children, and plenty of money, then you are not aware of your conditioning at all. But when there is a disturbance, when your wife looks at someone else, or you lose your money, or are threatened with war, or any other pain or anxiety, then you know you are conditioned. When you struggle against any kind of disturbance or defend yourself against any outer or inner threat, then you know you are conditioned. And as most of us are disturbed most of the time, either superficially or deeply, that very disturbance indicates that we are conditioned. So long as the animal is petted nicely, he reacts nicely. But the moment he is antagonized, the whole violence of his nature comes out. We are disturbed about life, politics, the economic situation, the horror, the brutality, the sorrow in the world, as well as ourselves. And from that we realize how terribly narrowly conditioned we are. And what shall we do? Accept the disturbance and live with it, as most of us do? Get used to it, as one gets used to living with a backache? Put up with it? There is a tendency in all of us to put up with things, to get used to them, to blame them on circumstances. If things were right, I would be different, we say. Or, give me the opportunity, and then I will fulfill myself. Or, I am crushed by the injustice of it all. Always blaming our disturbances on others, or on our environment, or on the economic situation. I just came back to Krishnamurti this morning. I remembered that over 10 years ago, I found his writings and I ate it up. And I wanted someone to talk to because I was conditioned to believe that adults, people older than me, knew better, especially people I respected like parents, professors, teachers. I told a professor that I was particularly close to that, oh my God, I found this man. What he's saying is so brilliant, it's so amazing. I was ready to take that knowledge and run with it, free myself. And I told him, and his reaction, the way I perceived it, was not very enthusiastic. And this was someone that I really respected. And I didn't respect my own knowledge, my own understanding. I needed someone else to say, yes, good girl, you're right. Yes, he is awesome. Yes, those are wise teachings, just like the teachings of the Buddha are wise. I needed him to say that. And he didn't. And I put it aside. And I never touched it again until now. And of course, all the other teachings that I've been exposed to over the years, especially the past 5 years, resonate. And yeah, I've come back to his passages here and there over the past 5 years. But today, sitting and really, really reading it, I recognize that, fuck, fucking shit. It resonated with me when I was 19 years old. And because I didn't trust myself, I let it go. So I guess it wasn't the time, you know? I guess I needed to have a lot of other life experiences, a lot of other, you know, high moments, low moments, a lot of other disturbances to help bring me back to where I am now. And I suppose it was only a few years ago that I was really ready to start understanding this. But anyway, what he's saying really touches me, especially in this moment in time, where I feel that people are really seeing the disturbances, inner and outer. And it's like, I want to say, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to change your life? Are you willing to change your life? Are you willing to actually look inside of yourself and see how all of your pain, your suffering, your hatred, your blame, your judgment, your lack of self-worth, your victimhood, your lack of freedom? Can you see? Are you willing to see how this is what's reflected in the outside world? How this outside world is not separate from what's going on in here? We are so afraid to look inside. We are so afraid to recognize. Maybe it's because we already hate ourselves so much that to go any deeper is like would just crush our entire psyche. That's why I do say it takes courage to do this work. And I say that to every person who walks in, you know, who walks into my space, if we're ready to start a process, that it takes courage and it's not easy. I was doing a process in a consultation with a potential client last night, and we were going inside and feeling what was coming up, and she was feeling it all in her head. It was red. It was angry. And then we look beneath that, because anger is just a cover emotion. There's always something underneath that. What was underneath that? Disappointment. Disappointment in herself. Why? Because of the conditioning, of course. Because of what her parents say. Because of what society says. She's always second guessing herself. There is no freedom. There is no true freedom. It's trapped. So she's in a constant state of disappointment in herself, a constant state of feeling, I am not enough. And I know this is the human condition. There's not one person listening to this that doesn't relate to that. So we saw that, right? We felt it, we brought it to the surface. So many people feel this, and then we try to suppress it. We try to distract ourselves by eating fucking cake, by going to watch a movie, by distracting our mind by saying, if only I just had a romantic partner. If only I just found love, then everything would be okay. I just want someone who loves me. I just want someone who understands me. And then my pain will go away. That's not true. It's not going to go away. It's not going to go away unless you are willing to do the inner work, unless you are willing to know yourself, unless you're willing to look at yourself. So in this just initial looking, we see what's ready to come up. What's ready to come up is this. This is what is creating the most acute pain in her life right now. That's why that's what rises to the surface. And we use the physical body to do that, to find what is ready to come up right now, what is ready to be seen, and what is ready to be healed, to be worked through, to be integrated. And she asked a really awesome question after we came out of the process, the meditation. She said, well, you know, she had been crying, she had felt the pain, she had seen it. Okay, right? That typically when we really see the pain that's inside of us, when we really, really feel that it's inside of us and that nothing outside can solve it, we typically feel like that's where we feel the willingness to change. We say, okay, I'm ready. Let's do this. What can we do? she said, okay, now that I've seen this, is that enough? Is that enough, like, to see it? So, like, kind of like, can I just let go of it now? And, or is there more work to do? And I was struck by the question, because like I said before, in reality, in actuality, it doesn't take time to change, because change is just slipping into another parallel reality where we can literally decide to be a completely different person. And if we give ourselves permission to do that, there is no time. It's done instantaneously. But because of our conditioning of just this personality that is built up over time, not over time, over generations, the lineage that we come from, the traumas that we hold in our body, also the conditioning of time. Because of this conditioning, the answer that I had to give based on my personal experience with myself, with the people my friends, my partner, with the people I work with, I had to say, there's work to do. And it was actually, there was this part of me that felt a little bit conflicted in saying that. Because again, in actuality, there doesn't have to be work to do. In actuality, if we see this, we have the potential to drop it. We have the potential to drop it. But because of our conditioning, it does take time. And, I just had a healing session a few days ago, and we saw this past life, this guide came through, and something, there was so much in the heart going on. There was a parting between me and this person when I was very young, and it literally, she describes it as the original heartbreak, the first heartbreak, and then everything after that, and all the other lifetimes, it's a repeating of that, and it's a moving toward the healing and the integration of that. Why is it necessary for humans to go through such processes? Why do we go to, medicine ceremonies, like, or for example, working with ayahuasca? Why, this is an infinite intelligence, right? Why can't we just boom, 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 let it go? Why does it have to be this pain, this removing this layer, and removing this layer, and removing this layer, and seeing this, and seeing this? And I suppose it's because we're human. I really suppose it's because we are human. We are earthlings. We are in this life, we are bound to the earth and the conditions of earth and the lineage of other human beings that we came from. And because of this conditioning, in order to reveal our true nature, in order to heal, in order to see ourselves, to free ourselves, that is the process that we humans have to go through. I do think that it's always changing, though. I do think that we are able to do this process so much quicker than we were before. I do believe that people who are starting this awakening right now, I've seen it. It can happen so quickly. And it's never going to be done. We're never going to reach this state of perfection because we're always growing. And we're here to grow through contrast. But the getting through these layers of a lot of suffering and trauma, I really believe that at this time of our evolution, at this time of the vibration that our planet is holding right now, it's happening so much quicker. And that's why you see it reflect in the world. The volatility of what's going on is directly proportionate to the rapidness with which humanity is able to awaken right now. We wanted it quick. We wanted it quick. If we wanted a slower process, then Clinton would have been elected. That was going to be a more gradual thing. The system was going to crumble anyway, but humanity as a collective was ready to do this quickly. And quickly doesn't mean pain-free. Actually, quickly is often more painful. It's more chaotic. It's more destructive, actually. Destructive. So think about the inner process. If it's quick, the ego, the layers, all of this stuff is destroyed very quickly so that something can be reborn. The death happens much more quickly so that we can be reborn. We look at the outer process, and it's the same way. The more rapidly the systems crumble, the more rapidly people wake up, the more, the more chaotic it is, because it happens in a short span of time instead of gradually, like thinking about one's own life. Oh, we gradually grow. Like, that's possible for people also. But the choice that I've made, the choice that most people who I work with make are that we want to do this and we don't want to waste any time because we have something to do here and we want to be free. So I would just like to share that with you, both the words of Krishnamurti and as well, what I feel is happening and how the inner is always reflecting the outer, and that it does take a lot of courage to be willing to look at yourself. It takes a lot of courage to be willing to look at the darkness, look at the shadows, look at the pain that's there. But the willingness to look inside is what allows the change to happen. I see so many people who recognize the pain, who recognize how it's manifesting in their life, but they're not willing to really do the work. And that's okay too, They're not. It just indicates that they're not ready to. But for anyone who is listening to this message, we are sovereign. We have the ability to think for ourselves. We have the ability to decide for ourselves. So it is a decision. If you want to make the decision to do this, if you want to generate the courage to do this, then you have so much guidance and support around you to do this, you have no idea. So you can feel safe. You can feel safe to begin this process or to continue this process. And I honor all of you who are on this journey with me. Have a good day.